Ready? Hey, this is John Mathis. We're in the Mansion Entertainment recording studio here in the control room. And I have a special guest today. It is Steve Hess.
Hey everybody, how are you?
Currently Steve has a group, Steve Hess and Southern Salvation. They're a Christian artist. But first of all, we're going to be talking about booking today. Okay, that's probably the number one topic I get asked about over the years from artists is how do I get dates? How do I get booked? And a lot think they need a booking agent. And so the first question is, do you know any booking agents that you can, send me to, or that kind of thing? So we're going to talk today about the process of booking, especially for an independent artist. So Steve,
yes,
give us a brief overview. I know we don't like to talk about ourselves and the things we've done and our accomplishments, but give a brief overview, because you haven't always just been a Christian artist. You've always been involved in music. You have a family music history. What about, tell me about some of the groups and some of the things you've done along the way, because all of those had to be booked and had dates in order for you to have made a living at it. And that's another point. There are guys out here that you'll never know their names, but they make a living at doing music. So give us a brief overview of your musical journey.
Well, I started out like a lot of people that we know, singing in church. I had a great family group. My dad was a great gospel songwriter, wrote for a lot of groups. I had a huge impact on me watching him lead singing at the church. I learned so much, and about writing I learned so much. Of course, my mom was a great piano player, and I learned from her. She was my piano teacher. She wasn't always happy about that, but she was. And there was another guy named Gary Jackson who was always at our house, and I think he's probably the best Southern gospel piano player there is, in my opinion. He's from Florida. And so I had great beginnings. So that's where I started. The family group would sing, and we were doing concerts with people like the Happy Goodman family and all those groups when I was like, 9 years old. And so I learned from that. And when I was, I guess, my mid-teens, early teens, late teens, I guess, I was at a church in Jacksonville, Florida, called Bethesda Temple. And there was a guy there named Doyle Dykes, who was, Doyle is world known as a guitarist now, and he's just phenomenal. If you ever Google him, he's just ridiculous. He's also a man that loves the Lord, and he was the youth pastor at this church, and I was a young piano player trying to figure out not just how to play, that was my job, but how to play in a group. And he taught me so very much, and I learned, and so I was playing, and then he introduced me to a guy there that on 3rd Street there at Jack's Beach named David Plummer, who owned Cypress Recording Studios, and the guys from Leonard Skinner were always around there. They all lived by there, and you just met a lot of people. So I would go to church on Sunday. We had youth service on a Tuesday night, and I would play that, and then I'd be sitting in the audience, and the phone would ring, and they'd call me in the office, and I'd have to go do a session. And so I started doing sessions there, and then I ended up as a staff player at Cypress Studios, just as a young guy. And I was really blessed. David Plummer taught me how to make records. He taught me about vision and preparation and all the different steps that we can talk about later in making records. And so I did that for a long time, and I came to Nashville and started a group called Hess and Baker.
So was that your first group?
Hess and Baker was the first real group.
Okay.
And we were 2 keyboard players. In secular music at the time in the 80s, MIDI was a big thing.
Right.
MIDI is an acronym. It means Musical Instrument Digital Interface. It's a fancy word meaning you can hook this keyboard up and it'll play this module, basically.
Right.
It's a simple way to put it. And so we were doing well and playing. So we started doing things with other people. Everybody from J.D. Sumner to Andre Crouch, and just a whole bunch of people came out of that experience.
How did those dates occur with the first group?
Booking, as we're talking about booking, always occurred the same way, and I know that people are going to want an easy answer, but it's hard work. And people ask me all the time, because every group I've had has been blessed to work. Where do you start? Well, you start where you are. You start before you try to go 1,000 miles. Look around your city. Go and talk to the pastor. Go for nothing. What you make in the beginning doesn't matter at all.
And I think that's a key that people don't realize. Booking is just getting the chance to get somewhere and be able to perform your music. So you, through this progress though, with Hess and Baker, I know you told me you went on to be in a jive band.
Yeah.
That was very successful.
Yeah.
Living La Vida Loca.
Yeah.
in Vegas.
Yeah.
So I want to fast forward to because when I talk to Steve sometimes over the years, I've known Steve 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll call him on booking day or I'll talk to him on booking day, and I've always been fascinated by his routine. So you decided to change your life. You leaving Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
You come back. You start a.
Well, there was a step before that. After Hess and Baker, I started a country band.
Okay.
Called Rio Posse, and it was the same thing. We called. I wasn't living for the Lord. We called clubs and again local and grew from there. Well, that band went on to be an opening act for. We opened for Brooks and Dunn, Hank Sr. So I had about 4 years of that, and that came to an end because I just was sick of it, and so we just stopped. But when I was in high school, I was in the stage band, which for those it's jazz swing oriented kind of stuff, and I'd always loved that music.
Yeah.
And so I decided to start the jive band. Jive Deluxe was the name of the group, and it was like 40s kind of horn stuff with 50s rock and roll rhythm section.
All right.
And real blues influence too, and I just loved it. And so again, we found a couple of places to play, but the way that band started, there was a guy who would make records for people, and I went to him. I said, I have this great idea, for a band, and and he said, man, I'm just really not interested in doing it. I said, come on, man. He said, I'll tell you what. He said, if you put the band together, and you get a month's work of dates, I'll go in and record a demo on you. I said, okay, that's all I need to hear. And so I went.
He's a motivated guy.
Yeah, I
know that about him.
And I like to work.
Yeah.
So I went home, and what did I have? I had people say, "Oh, I don't have money. I don't have backing." Well, I had a keyboard. That's what I had, and I had a Yamaha module. So I had a Kurzweil keyboard. I've always loved to play Kurzweil. A stage piano, and a Yamaha module that had horns and other things on the module, and I would MIDI. And I had an electric guitar, which you've heard me pedal on the guitar. I am not a guitar player, but I knew I had no players. I had none. And I said, I've got to get something done so this guy will do some real demos on us and we can go from there. And so I went home, and I had 3 songs that I'd written in that style of music. And I had my little drum machine going, and I did demos where I played piano first, and then I did keyboard bass, and then I took my guitar, and I would literally, it was like cassette, like Foztech 4-track cassette player. And so I'd be like, pause. Pause. Literally through the song. So I got the piano down, and then I would add the horn parts. I sent that to a booking agency and thought there is no way in the world. And 3 weeks later, I got a call, and we had a month's worth of bookings.
So I think that's a point there.
Okay.
Not just with a booking agency, but if you're going to book a band or book your act, you do have to have something. Something. We used to be termed as an EPK or like electronic press kit now, or some kind of press kit. You got to have something to show the venue or the outlet you're booking at. So.
And I think also it underscores.
So that's the beginning of how you got started with that. Yeah.
Start where you are.
Yeah. Now, when you came back, decided to make a change in your life, and you wanted to do Christian music, I realized that you're coming out of one area back into an area where you may not have known very many people, but you still had a love for music and wanted to perform and do it in a way that you feel was a positive impact. How did you get started with the current group booking, getting things?
Okay.
I know you say start where you're at. Where you were at?
When I came home, I accepted the Lord as my Savior, and thanks to the prayers of my wife and family. And I canceled a year's worth of dates in Vegas and college campuses and all over. Came home. So I canceled all the dates. My money was gone. Most of my gospel music contacts were dead that I'd known when I was a little boy, or either out of the business. So I had money was gone, no contacts, no equipment, didn't know what to do or where to turn.
That's a great place to start. A lot of people are right there.
A lot of people are there.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, there's some great things happening for us. And well, I had nothing. So I mean, that's where start where you are. Again, you know, I had a keyboard and I had a calling. So I spent several years after I got home just praying and trying to become the man who could go out and do that. I had to work on me. And once I was ready, I remember being in Arizona on vacation, and my daughter-in-law, I was just pacing the floor about what to do, and she said, you know what you need to do, and I know, and everybody here knows, and God knows. Why don't you go do it? So I went home, and again, I had some friends that went in and helped me do a demo. You know, it wasn't a real group; it was just a demo. And that demo, I called a radio promoter and had it promoted, and it went to number 46 on the charts. It was a demo with people that weren't in the group. But from all of that, I then picked up the phone and started saying, "Hi, my name is Steve Hess, blah blah blah," and I started local. In fact, we have a song now and I got, "Sure, you can come to our church. Can't guarantee you we'll give you anything." I didn't care. Sacrifice is important. If you feel God has called you to do this, well, it doesn't mean just because He's called you to do it, that doesn't mean that from day one every door in the world is going to be open. Sometimes it's about how bad how are you serious? You know, are you serious? Are you willing to walk through the fire to get to where He wants you to be?
And work. So what I did was I took a job. My daughter owns a business. I took a job working with her in the daytime during the week. She has an ATM business, so I took a job counting money. And I then took a nighttime job during the week, unloading semi-trucks from midnight till about 3 in the morning. My wife, who wasn't working, went back to work. We did all that so we could be free on the weekends. And I would get off work at noon with my daughter, and I would go home, and I would get on the telephone. Okay, this is where the part, I think this would be step number 3, and it's process and work process. I told you, Steve and I talk about a lot of things, and I've always been, I used to do a lot of work in the gym and things. I always go up to people and ask them how they got where they were at, in their progress. And eventually I quit asking because it was the same answer. It was basically work. I kept, was hoping maybe there was a trick or a secret. Right. You don't have any tricks or secrets today.
There's no tricks or secrets.
So when I've called you before, you've told me your process. So you would go home at noon, and I think you're getting into that point that always impressed me. Because nobody likes to do certain things. Like, hey, if you're a singer and that's your passion, you love to sing. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that no one loves to be on the phone and hearing no and hearing
all day long,
hearing rejection, trying to find somebody to call.
Yeah.
How did you make yourself work through that?
So you're going to hear about 100 no's before you hear a yes. But know that you will hear a yes if you make enough calls. And so I would go, during that time, it was as though I went to an office. I was at my house in a bedroom or in the kitchen or wherever I was at the dining table. From 1 o'clock in the afternoon until 5, I was on the phone. When one guy would say no, I would go online, Google Yellow Pages. I would look in church directories, type Baptist churches, type Church of God's, type Assemblies, type whatever, and there would be a list, and I'd pick a city, and I would just call and call and call and call and call. This is who we are. We've done so and so. We're going to be in your area. Would you consider? And by that time, I was starting to be able to say, look, if you could do $300 and a love offering, if there's just a little something, and just started kind of inching up. And I didn't, I rented a vehicle to travel in and just did what I had with what I had. And there are many times, if you're the group leader, you're going to come home with empty pockets, because the number one thing you have to do is pay your guys. Yeah. Your guys get paid no matter what, because you'll learn in a hurry they're not going back out with you if you don't pay them. I think the most important rule, if you're starting a group, pay your people. Number one. And so that grew to a time, John, where I wasn't having to do the morning thing with her, but at work. So what I did, it grew to 8 hours of calling with a 30-minute lunch break. And I don't mean like watching some TV shows and clicking the channel
Right.
and doing all this. An 8-hour day with a 30-minute lunch break where you got on the phone, you called, you talked to pastor, you hung up, you called.
Yeah, I think when I've talked to you in the past, it sounds like you set goals. Like you, like some people work, they go, if I do this many things, I'll reward myself with this little thing, and then I'll go back to doing. You know, you sound like you kind of. I sometimes have to trick myself into.
You do.
doing
Have a motivational little tricks, and so it's just a process. And then another trick that I learned, and I know I'm not the first person to do this, but it worked. It's worked well for me. So when you go to a church and sing, or a venue, or a theater, or wherever you go and you go and sing, if things go well, if you feel that God was pleased with you being there and they loved you and it worked, before I would leave that building, I had rebooked that same Sunday next year.
Okay, so you were already feeling all the work you did to get that one place. You went ahead and made sure it was on the calendar 12 months later. So that is one less date you had to do. So I've known you several years, and I've seen you. When I met you, you guys were doing 180 or more dates already. So, and I've watched you build that process and build your dates and lead into some really cool things for the group. So, and I've always been impressed by your process, and that's why I wanted to have you here today, sharing some of this that will help other people in that. So, you got to have something to present, presentation. What was the second thing that we said? Oh, start somewhere. Start where you're at.
And the reason I stress that is I know so many times, like you'll ride down the road and somebody goes past you in a $300,000 bus and you have a $20 bill that you got to eat 3 meals on, and you're thinking, I don't have anything. What you have is the ability to sing and the ability to get on the phone and talk.
I've had the privilege of knowing a lot of people for a long time in this business who are on big stages now.
Yeah.
And people see the big stage and they want to be on the big stage instantly. But I know where a lot of those guys came from.
Yeah.
I know all the little stages, the little rabbit trails they took back out in the woods to just sing somewhere, perform somewhere.
Right.
And they did all that, and they did those little things day after day, year after year, to get to where they're at.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about today.
For instance, John, when you're starting, you have 0 dates. And say you manage to pull off 60 dates that first year, but you rebook 40 of them, when you start the second year, you're not starting at 0, you're starting at 40. And so then if you're, out of all the dates you do that year, if you're able to rebook 100, you start the next year with 100 dates on your calendar before you start booking.
Right.
And it just grows. But it has to be, you have to allow whatever your life will allow you to as far as time. It's got to be a serious amount of time where you're calling, hanging up, calling, hanging up, calling. And no can't bother you.
There you go. We'll end with no can't bother you. There's another aspect we're going to talk about in another video, and that is we're going to talk to you a little bit about performance.
Great.
Because once you get a date, you have to be
You got to nail it.
You got to nail it. And that sometimes leads to good references from the places you've been at.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. Be sure and subscribe to the channel. If you have any comments or suggestions or questions, put those in the comment section below, and we will see you in the next video. Thanks, Steve, for being here.
Oh, it's a thrill. Thanks.